Alright, here I am on Rhapsody. Right now, just going around and looking right here. You can see I took off the handrail, so some spots are a little dirty from from the last time I was here. And here you can see this is the one I took off the last time I was here. Kind of see some of it just flaking off, coming apart. The old varnish is definitely needs to come off. So plus I noticed some spots where it was leaking inside, so it needed to be rebedded also. So far the bolts come off pretty good, except there was one that had a little trouble. It was free spinning, so I had to take off the plug and get to it. That came off pretty easy. And then here is the other one. Goes on the same side up towards the front by the hatch. I sanded it off and put one, maybe two coats of varnish on it. Put the second one on while it was still wet, so it just needs to be sanded finely, and put some more coats on it. But I think it looks pretty good, much better than the old stuff. And there's about 14 anchor points on this handrail, so it goes all the way down there. And right now my idea is to take off the handrails so that I can take it home and work on it from the backyard. This other side, same condition, but right now there's a couple of anchor points, I think 3 in particular, that do not want to come off. Right now I still have the one on the very first point that's still on, but that is coming off easy. There's one in the middle that is extremely stiff. I'm about to strip off the head of it, and it's not good. So then there's one next to it. I think it's these two here, but need to open up the plugs and see if I can get them off, so that way I can take it off and rebed this also. So there's 2 in the middle, and the one on the very end does not want to come off either. So looking at hopefully taking the plugs off, I can get to the bolt, and hopefully that'll solve my problem. And I'm going to go down through the hatch. Yeah, this is where that piece that I already varnished came from. A little bit of, I think it's caulking or some kind of something that was used for sealant, so it needs to be cleaned off a little bit as well. Then down below, be able to see like that right there. So the bolts went through here, then the handrail, there was a screw that went right next to it. Right now, where is it? So, handrail. So, this one on the very end was, the screw heads were already exposed, but the varnish down here is much better. So it's kind of sad to take the varnish off of the rest of these plugs to get to the screws, but kind of needed to be done. But yeah, it just went right up in here. And the screws were holding pretty good. Yeah, if I didn't have to get to the bolts, they probably could have stayed. They're in pretty good condition. But there's one that needs to come out that doesn't want to. This one is really stiff and getting to the point of stripping the head, which I'm not too crazy about, of course. But last time I was here, or not the last time, but a couple times ago, saw that this one was leaking, so I needed to get to that one. This one can show a little bit of damage, but to me it doesn't, other than the visual damage, it doesn't seem like it's all too bad. But hopefully I can get it sealed up and looking pretty nice. And here's another one. I just kind of put the screws in it just to keep them from rolling around all over the place, and some of the mess around here. Started bringing some of the stuff from the house back into the boat, so that way it doesn't clutter up the house, of course. And then some of my supplies for refinishing. But I got the boom in here and the main mast, mainsail. Some other miscellaneous stuff. But yeah, so right now that's my goal, is to try to get that other handrail off so I can get it back to the house, refinish it, and then at least with a couple coats to get it started to seal up the wood, and then you can reseal it and get it back on the boat. And right now I have a marina slip reserved for October, so I'm hoping I can get some of this work done, so when she gets in the water, should at least start looking nice. Another varnish project, got this little cover on here that I'm looking at just taking the screws off. Might be easier just to do that, so I can scrape off the flaking old varnish. Then I could probably revarnish it and put the cover back on, so that probably wouldn't be too bad of a job. But then of course I got the hatch itself right here in the companionway. That I tried sanding it off, so it's just going to need more sanding since I haven't touched it. The same with the tow rail here, and some other trim right there, and there's another trim. Let's see, yeah, right here. So a little bit of projects. Of course, it's a boat; it never ends. And then, of course, this up here is going to take some time as well. But right now, I figure my main priority is the handrails and stopping the leaking. Okay, I chipped out the first plug on the end, and as you can see, it is free spinning. So I need to try and get that out of there. The last time I had this, I put a painter spatula in there to try to wedge it. So I'm going to try to do that again and see if I can get it out of there. Well, it did not want to come off at first, but took a little while to wedge that bolt in there, just enough so I could get it unscrewed off. But once it came off, it kind of started to straighten up a little bit. So I'm sure that'll make things interesting when trying to put it back on. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit of cleaning up here before I get sealed back up and attached. So now going to get a couple more. Hopefully they eventually come off too. Okay, I got a couple of the bolts off. So the one on the end, I was able to wedge the nut and to get it off. And then these other two, I was able to get this one wedged in. This one came off pretty easy once I finally opened it up. Then I went ahead and took the one on the end off, and didn't have any problems with that one anyway, but kind of used it to anchor the rest of the handle. But this one is a little bit more difficult. It's It's kind of tight in there, and it does spin freely also, so it's going to need a little bit more work. So hopefully the next clip I give, or the next clip I make, it'll be out of there. Then I can take this and the other handrails, take those over to the house, and then I can start stripping them and get them ready for at least 1 or 2 coats of fresh varnish, so I can reseal it up. Then I can add additional coats of varnish on it once it's in the water.